What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, I'm here to talk about another Booker LongList book that I recently read. If y'all are new here, I recently joined a book club where we are making our way through the Booker LongList. It's 13 books and we're reading it over the course of a year. And this is the third one that I've read so far. That is The South by Tash Aw. And I want to talk about, not just to do like a little review, but I want to talk about what this book really made me think of. Let's get into it. Okay, so like I said, I'm making my way through the Booker LongList with a book club. This hasn't been picked yet, but it was available at the library. So I got it and read it now. The next book actually that we are discussing is Flashlight, which I'll read next. Okay, anyways, this book is a coming of age story set in Malaysia in the 1990s. And it's talking about, you got a main character who is, again, like I said, coming of age, but he's finding out a lot about himself, identity, his relationship with his half cousin or whoever he was, his relationship with his like half cousin, his relationship to his elders, like what he's doing in life in relation to his parents, figuring things out. And it starts off with a bang. Literally, it starts off with a bang. And I was like, wait a minute, what's this book? Hold on, wait, what's this book about? Went through and read like the synopsis after I got through like the first 5 pages, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what that's about. But yeah, it starts off with a bang, definitely an attention grabber, and it draws you in and just you follow his life. Over the summer, he goes to work on this farm, and you kind of get to see the dynamics of that and what his life looks like as a young boy in Malaysia, 1990s. Okay. That's all cool and dandy. The writing was great. It explores things of identity, like I said, coming of age. It explores sexuality. It explores just finding your purpose and figuring life out. Where do you fit in the greater puzzle? You know, where does your puzzle piece fit in the greater scheme of things? What this book, like, that's my review. That's my review. I was actually really intrigued. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I don't always get this reaction when I read books. So I don't think about my childhood and my adolescence like in depth, like for prolonged times. Like obviously I'll think back about stuff and, you know, I'm thinking about it. But this book, like literally I kept thinking back to like, not because I can relate to the main character. It wasn't necessarily about like what he was doing, but just like how realistic it seems to like be trying to find yourself during these times, like in your adolescence. It's like how you can have an experience with somebody and your view is one thing and that other person, they on a whole other thing. And you just kind of like, you confused, but you not. And I'm not talking about exactly what the main character went through. I was thinking about me. Like, I don't try to be that self-centered, but I was reading that and I was thinking about times in my upbringing where like we're two people experiencing something. I got one view and this other person got a whole other view. And I'm just like, am I misreading this or like what's going on? It made me think about like me as a kid really looking around and trying to find my place. Like, I don't know. And I don't always do this. There's very few times where I'm reading a book, even if I can relate to like the overall themes of the story, I'm not like lost in thought about myself for an extended amount of time often, like almost never, unless I'm reading the Bible or something. But this really made me be like, that was crazy. Like think back to a situation and be like, what was going on? Or like I saw it this way because I was looking through my teenage eyes and this is what it really was. And again, it didn't have anything to do with like me directly relating to what I was reading. It was more so like the scene that was being set and like the feelings that were being worked through and the coming into yourself and like being okay with who you are, even if it's different from other people. Because I feel like for me, there was like this tension internally. It's not even like other people was putting that off on me. There was this tension where I just felt like it was represented well in this book. And then I got lost deep in my thoughts while reading this. And I wouldn't say that's a bad, I didn't want to get lost in my thoughts, but like the fact that the author can write a book and you can resonate with it, even though I don't see myself in the main character. Like, that's what makes me know it was written well. I don't see myself in the main character or his cousin or his parents or his grandma and them. But like, I can relate to a world and an environment and like a mindset like that. Like, I feel like I could be, it was set in the 1990s, like I said, but I feel like I could be dropped down in this spot and like I can see, like I feel like I lived during this time. I wasn't in Malaysia, I was in North Carolina, but still, I still feel like it rings true for a lot of people coming of age. Even if you can't see yourself in the main character like me, you can see yourself in a worldview like that. You can feel like those true thoughts and like the juxtapositions of growing up with other people. And y'all looking at the same thing in two different ways. And like how there's beauty in that, but there's pain in that. There's hurt in that, but there's also like, it's life. You know what I mean? And the author wrote it very much like not trying to persuade you to feel that way, but you just do, because that's just, I feel like a lot of people can relate to the world that was built, to the story that was being told. Even if you don't see yourself, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying that, in the main character, it was real, and it was just like, that could have been like my friend or something. And I was over here living this other life, but we was in the same time, we was in the same mindset. We trying to figure similar things out. And there's no available blueprint that we understand. The people around us are giving us like, we can follow their actions if we want. They giving us like this, advice kind of indirectly, but it's not clicking. Like, it doesn't seem applicable, even if it is. And so this book, I feel like I kind of got to give it an applause, even though I wasn't even bored reading. There were times where it was, just slow like life. It was just what it is. And during those times, I found myself filling in like the blank spaces with my life. That's the crazy thing. And I just feel like that's just a stroke of like a true artist. Like, I've never read anything from this author before, and I was thoroughly impressed. There was things in this book that, it's not like a happy-go-lucky story. It's, I wouldn't even say it's plot-driven. It's very much character-driven. There is a plot, but like where it really shines is that character development and the world building and just the realism of coming of age in 1990s. And in his case, in Malaysia, but in my case, North Carolina, in your case, wherever you at. That's just what that felt like to me. And so far, it's my favorite Booker LongList book that I read. I only read 3. There's only 3 so far. I only read 3 out of 13. And I will put this at number 1 so far, just because, I don't know, like everything that the author wrote seemed to be intentional. It seemed to be like targeted to something. It was subtle in some ways, very overt in others. But I liked the way that the story was crafted so much. Even the way like trauma is presented seemed very purposeful. And I just appreciate stuff like that. Like, I know that he has other books. I'm going to read some of those. I thought this was great. It's in my number 1 spot right now. There's only 13. I will rank them once I read them all. But This was very impressive to me. And it wasn't even, they yelling in the background like they know they ain't recording. Yeah, that's just where I'm at with that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will be reading some more of his works. And I just feel like it was just so, this is what I was expecting. When I said I was reading the Booker LongList books, I wanted stuff like this. I wanted like subtlety when subtlety is needed. I wanted like a message where the message needed to be said outright. I wanted like character. I wanted plot. I wanted world building. I wanted reflection. I wanted like read between the lines. I wanted purposeful writing and like layered depth. I wanted that, and this book delivered. So I'm excited. I hope the rest of the books give me like similar vibes where I'm just like, yes, this is so good. But yeah, that's book 3. I can't wait till we finally get to this book to discuss it because it was good. Yeah, so far. So next, like I said, I'll be reading Flashlight. I put it up on the screen because that's the next book that we're discussing in the book club. But again, I had to read the South because it was available at the library. I was able to check it out on my ebook on Libby, and so that's what I did. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Let me know if you read this. Let me know if you read anything by this author, and if so, what book do you recommend that I read next from here? Okay, see y'all on the next one.